welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the Champions League. It is time now for the second leg, the make or break game between Barça and PSG. It is all to play for on Tuesday, and right here today we're going to be going through all of the tactics that are in store for us, from Xavi's approach to Luis Enrique's. What can we learn from the first leg and try to apply now to the second? Can Barça keep Kylian Mbappe quiet again? And what about Ousmane Dembele? What is going to happen there? We've got plenty of threats of our own too. We're going to be talking a lot about Raphinha today. It is all coming up for you. Get ready and let's do this. But first of all, we do have some super thanks shout-outs here. One to my good friend Anaya on the channel. Thank you indeed for that. And again to Tariq, who is predicting a 2-1 Barca win against PSG. And we got great support here coming in from America and also from Czech Republic. And thank you indeed for all of your birthday wishes, guys, from yesterday. Really do appreciate that. And now our full attention, it's on this game right here, and it has been ever since the first leg. This is all that we could think about, and I think the players and the coaching staff at Barcelona too, they all feel exactly the same way, because of course it was significant this weekend that on the side of PSG, they had no game at all. There was no league match this weekend, basically to try to help their Champions League campaign. They will arrive into this game fully rested and ready for a real battle, and I think it was really important then that Xavi responded yesterday, because he started just two of the outfield players who started in the first leg against PSG last night against Cadiz. It was only Pau Cubarsí and also Sergio Roberto there who started the game, and Roberto of course is suspended anyway in the Champions League, so there was full rest for Araujo, for Frenkie de Jong, Gundogan importantly as well, Cancelo and Lewandowski, and I think we should see here a Barca team that is very fresh as well, that's certainly in form too. I think they're going to be feeling not only physically good, but mentally in a really good place coming into this game. Everything has aligned itself very nicely, and I think we've got to be ready for whatever PSG throw at us. We have to be on it again from the very first minute with our intensity, and that is vital, because these are the numbers, and it's very clear here why it's so important that we're physically ready to match PSG, because look at what happened in the first leg. These are the distances that were covered by each team in the first leg matches of the quarterfinals in the Champions League, and as you can see there, Barca ran pretty much more than any other team. Only Man City there at the Bernabeu did slightly more distance, but we were way ahead of PSG there. We were certainly in that first leg more up for the game. We were fresh, we were ready, we really did press them well, and I think that's the important thing here. I think in the first leg we saw Lewandowski starting the press, we saw Gundogan going out with him, really putting pressure on PSG's defence, forcing mistakes, and mainly stopping them from playing easy balls through midfield. That's such an important thing in this kind of game, because if PSG can just work the ball through midfield, that's when they can start picking their passes. They can start finding the spaces in behind once they've got time and once they've got control in midfield. We didn't let them have that luxury. The pressing there, starting from the front, it was absolutely vital, and we will need to see that again, and even more so probably on Tuesday night. But I think what was also very significant indeed from the first leg there, we spoke before that match about Barca's crossing. We spoke about the fact that far too often in the Champions League we were putting balls into the box aimlessly, not picking out men, and quite honestly we were very wasteful in the final third. 22% was our Champions League crossing accuracy, yet against PSG that number nearly doubled. We had 43% of our crosses there finding their targets, and that's what we saw from Barca in general. Much more calculation in the final third. We there had a clear plan, a clear direction, and I think we can certainly target that area too, because we saw plenty of good balls going into the box against PSG, especially from corners as well. Donnarumma, he was struggling. He was looking very nervy. PSG's whole defence really, when there was high balls coming into the area, they did not know how to defend them. That's of course where our winning goal came from, and we can certainly see more of that approach on Tuesday. But it wasn't only the crossing either, because when you look as well at the dribbles completed, the success rate again for Barca against PSG in the first leg, 71% of our dribbles were successful. And comparing those numbers there to PSG, look, we attempted much less, but that's the whole point. I think we saw a really efficient performance in Barcelona. We took risks when we needed to, when we felt as though it was a good opportunity for us, but we didn't overdo it. We weren't losing the ball very very, very frequently. We weren't turning it over to PSG and giving them ammunition on the counter-attack. We were measured, we were calculated, and we were efficient, which is key. And speaking there about taking risks, speaking there about maybe not taking on unnecessary risks in that first leg, that is why I think our position coming into the second leg, it's incredibly exciting for us. The position there that we have earned from that first leg, we can still have that measured approach now. We can still have the luxury of being calculated and basically choosing our moments to strike, because just imagine the scenario. If PSG, for example, had the lead coming into this second leg, just imagine they'd won the home leg and we were then coming into this game needing goals, needing to push forward, needing to come out there and leave spaces in behind, actually chasing the game. That is a nightmare scenario, because then PSG would have been able to pick us apart. They would have been able to take advantage of all of those spaces we were leaving, and that would have played right into their hands. But that's not the case now, because it's so different that we have the lead. It's actually PSG now that are coming to us needing something. It's them that needs to come out. It's them that needs to work hard. And what we cannot do is allow them to score early in the game here. We cannot loosen our grasp here on the control that we have over these ties. We have to maintain that lead. We've got to make them work, make them come out and meet us, because then things might open up for us. Because looking there at the team that started for Barça in that first leg, obviously coming into this one, the two things that we must be aware of is that Roberto and Christensen are both suspended for the second leg, so we will not be able to call upon them in the defensive midfield areas. But apart from that, we're not likely to see too much change, I feel, from this team. And the interesting thing, of course, is going to be how are we going to replace those defensive-minded players in midfield? Are we going to see a midfield of Frenkie de Jong, of Gundogan, and can Pedri come back in from the start of the game? That is something there that I would not be surprised to see at all. There have been a few shouts as well that maybe Lamine Yamal could make way in the second leg. Now, there's two ways there that Xavi can go from that point. He could decide to bench Yamal and replace him with an extra midfielder. He could actually there try and pack the midfield with Fermin Lopez maybe coming in to add to the trio. That is something that he would consider. Or also, of course, there's the possibility of João Felix. You could actually switch Raphinha back over to the right-hand side and play João then on the left if Yamal wasn't going to be a starter. But I wouldn't do either of those things, and I will go on to explain why I try and stick with the same approach. And I think it's important there that we really do carry the maximum threat, because when you are looking at what PSG did in the first leg, things for them, though, might change a bit more significantly in this game, because obviously as the game went on there, they changed things quite radically. Asensio, of course, came off. Ousmane Dembele then went to a more central area. Barcola came on the right-hand side, and there was also a slight change in midfield as well, with Lee going off and Zaire-Emery, the young, exciting midfielder, coming on for PSG. But I think one of the most important things about PSG in this second leg, we spoke about it ahead of the first leg, the missing player for them, it was Hakimi. Now, he's going to be back from suspension, he's going to be right back in their team, and he is going to be absolutely key to this game, because for me, that right-hand side of PSG and our left side, that's where this game could be won or lost, because certainly there, Hakimi, he's going to threaten us much more on that right side. He can play with real speed, he picks up the ball, he likes to be on the ball. PSG use him so frequently in possession, and of course, again, like we've said, PSG will look to target Cancelo. They weren't able to do that, by the way, in the first leg. He performed incredibly well at left back. He wasn't able to go forward too much, but he certainly did stand his ground defensively with the help, of course, of Pau Kubasi. But now there's an extra threat in there as well. Now, that's one of the reasons, by the way, why Raphinha, for me, must stay on the left-hand side, because we will need him even more so in this game in both directions, because I think he can certainly help with the threat of Hakimi. He can work incredibly hard. We know that Raphinha covers so much ground. There's even more problems there on the right with the possibility of Dembele and Hakimi linking up, so you need him there. But what I'm also thinking here is, yes, Hakimi's a threat. He can get forward. He's very quick. He's a player that can hurt us, but he's going to be more advanced than Marquinhos was in the first leg. And what that also means is, if we can turn the ball over, if we can win it back in key areas, we've got players who can pick passes, who can pick long passes as well, Raphinha's going to be there waiting. And that's why I think it's very important here we have pace on our left side. Cancelo, we know, can get forward. He can exploit spaces, but Raphinha must be there waiting. If Hakimi takes a gamble, if PSG are pushing more and more players forward, that is an area that we'll be able to target even more. Because Marquinhos in the first leg, he was a lot more withdrawn. He didn't really get involved in too many attacks. He wasn't very high up the field. He was very defensive-minded, and he was able to sort of stay with Raphinha as much as possible. But there's going to be more chances for him in this one. And Raphinha was so dangerous in the first leg that this little battle here over on the left, it's going to be an exciting one. However, guys, there are more threats to talk about from Paris Saint-Germain. Because firstly, I want to say that even despite Mbappe being quiet in the first leg, even despite the fact that we did honestly shut him down no matter where he came from, over on the left-hand side, down the middle, we were able to nullify him. That doesn't mean that he's not a threat in this game. He is still one of the big players of PSG who could win this game for them. It is that simple. We cannot take him lightly just because we managed to stop him for half of this tie. And at the end of the day, guys, we've already had a wake-up call against PSG. We have already seen that in the space there of just a few minutes, it was 2, 3, 4 minutes at the start of that second half, where basically they could have taken the game away from us in that spell alone there with Dembele, with Mbappe. When they're combining, when they're close together, when they're overloading certain areas, you can see what PSG are capable of doing. And I think a great point has been made here by Raymond, big fan there from Ghana. Big shout out to him. He's pointed out again that Barça, they suffer from lapses in concentration there, whereby in just certain moments of games we can switch off, and like I say, it can really hurt your chances of getting through a game like this. And if there's one thing that I think we must really avoid, when you're thinking there about Dembele maybe coming inside, maybe Mbappe linking up with him, you've got Barcelona then on the right-hand side, one thing we can't do, allow ourselves to get boxed in by PSG, to be sort of right on the edge of our own box, really dropping deeper and deeper and deeper. That's only going to hurt us. Because there's one stat here that I would really draw your attention to from the first leg, looking here at runs into the penalty area. You can see right there, PSG, 19 of them. We only had 4 in that first leg. We were not able to do it with any regularity at all, but PSG will constantly have players there. If you're sat on the edge of your own box, they will have runners over and over and over again, because what you've got to look at here is Dembele's goal, the first goal there for PSG, when they were starting to ramp up that pressure. You can see already, PSG are getting players into the area. They got 5 there inside of the box. They've got another one that's arriving on the edge to make it 6. And that's what you allow them to do. If you sit too deep, if you allow too much pressure to come on yourself, then suddenly they will swarm all around you and distract defenders, take men away, open up space for somebody else. They don't even have to pick out everybody, but just having those players in there can cause us problems. And I think we have to be wary of not just Dembele, not just Mbappe, because again, it's not just about them, because the chaos that they were causing in that first leg was actually about who they were freeing up, because Barcelona had lots of opportunities there, lots of space, because Dembele had taken the attention away, because Mbappe had taken the attention away. You've got to look for these free runners. Vitinha is another one. Look at the goal that he scored there. He was allowed to just make his way through midfield. And I think that's where the midfield is really important for Barca, because yes, you've got Kubasi, you've got players there like Araujo and Koundé who are going to focus on Mbappe, on stopping Dembele. They can match them 1 versus 1, but you've got to stop the other runners too. Barca's midfield here, Frenkie de Jong, he's got to be aware defensively. He is our defensive anchor in this game, and he's got to be looking over his shoulder at all times. Pedri too, he's going to have to contribute if he is there. Gundogan as well, he's got the experience in these kinds of games. So Barca's midfield has to be switched on defensively, and we cannot allow ourselves to be too deep in the field. But that's why I maintain, guys, and that's the one thing that I would really try and take away here today, is we must still carry a threat. And that is why Xavi might think about 4 midfielders, he might think about doing something a little bit different in this game, but I think I would still have Yamal there, I'd still have Lewandowski, I'd still have Raphinha, I'd bring João Felix off the bench. I would still make sure at all times that we have players there that give PSG something to think about, because if you allow them to advance on you, to commit players forward, and there's nothing the other way, there's nothing to hurt them, they will start to ramp up the pressure, they will start to put us under pressure, and we don't want to be in that kind of game. We've got a lead, we can protect it, but don't sit back. Do not allow this game to slip away from us. Don't hand PSG the initiative, because don't give them that confidence. We are a team right now that are in form. We're winning games. We've gone to Paris, we've got the win. Let's come here now and just continue where we left off. Let's have the confidence to say, now you're in our stadium and we are in control. control of this tie, and we're not going to allow you to just take over. We're not going to allow you to attack and attack and attack. We can do damage too. We must stand tall. We must believe in our players, believe in the crowd to get behind the team as well. And I like our chances. I like the way this tie is looking right now. I like the way that we have that advantage, and now it's about using it in the best possible manner to get us through to the Champions League semi-finals. So those there, guys, are just some of the things to look out for in this all-important second leg. And of course, we are going to be talking lots more ahead of this game with the match preview on the way on Monday. Thank you indeed, guys, for tuning in here to this one, for all of your optimism right now, for all of your excitement. It is an incredible time for us, and we cannot wait to be part of this fixture. I will see you soon with more build-up on the way. But until next time, as always, Visca, El Barça.